Welcome back, you filthy exiles, and yeah, we're doing another curation of community builds. I think we're up to, this would be Season 1, Episode 3. Basically, I've got another list of 5 builds, which are really cool, interesting, and use a bunch of different mechanics. And yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this series at this stage because I'm having a lot of fun. And if you're a creator and number one, you don't want your build features on this list, just let me know and I'll do the post edit. But if you do want to be featured on this list moving forwards, then feel free to send me a DM on Discord, put a comment down below in the description or in the comments, sorry, and or jump into our Discord, drop a comment in our builds channel and whatnot, and yeah, I'll pick these up and 100% we'll tack them onto the list if they've got a decent guide behind them, or if the build looks really cool or interesting. 100% keen for anyone's submissions. That is from other creators and also the community itself too. And I'll try and help you with your POBs and stuff like that if you need a little bit of help there. Anyway, let's get into the video and start talking about some of these builds and how they work. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first build that I want to feature on this list is from Caltrop, and this is his Wind Dancer Titan. Now, this one I sort of had a bit of a play around at the very start of the league, or the 0.2 patch, and he's basically sort of figured it out. And more or less how this works is you use Wind Dancer to then proc Poison and Corrosion, and then obviously Armor Break, and then Armor Explode. And basically what this leads to is absolutely enormous amounts of damage going out and nuking enemies. Now, my understanding from his recent videos is this is now up doing full endgame, and it's also, and doing pinnacle bosses. There's also an update on his POB, which will take it pretty much up to that level as well. But this is predicated on being able to push the gem level of Wind Dancer through the roof. And one way to do this is having crazy maces, great hammers that give you, at a minimum +7 to all melee skills and whatnot. My understanding of this build is that a melee skill is also defined as Wind Dancer being a melee skill itself. So it has the melee tag, which means that you can get +14 on Wind Dancer alone. So that is your +20, +14, plus basically running Prism of Belief and things like that will also increase the gem level, plus any other gem level that you can get as well. Will push the damage up per every bit of scaling from increased level stats, including on gloves and amulet and all that sort of jazz. So this build is predicated around absolutely maxing out the gem level to do stupid amounts of damage. Now, it does use Vertex, which at the moment is quite expensive, and this basically gives you 50% reduced attribute requirements. Overall, it's just a really well crafted build, really interesting build, and definitely has absolutely mental clear. And doesn't use things like, for example, trample toes or anything like that to be able to proc huge amounts of overkill AoE damage, which, thinking on it, you could actually probably do even more damage if you added that to it, if you could fit it in. Overall, really cool build, worth checking out. Make sure you stop by Caltrop's channel. And yeah, this would be the first build that I would feature on this list. Rightio, so for the second build I'm going to feature on this list, it's going to actually be a 27k ward armor stacking Witchhunter, and this is from a newer creator called Kappas. So basically, from what my understanding of how this build works is he synergizes armor stacking to a ridiculous level to get 27k ward. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what ward is, you're able to get a skill called Sorcery Ward when you run the Witchhunter, and basically this takes an enormous elemental hit, so it's like an elemental hit pool that you take and then regenerates very quickly back over time. Now, the way that fizz damage is dealt with, you get up to 90% fizz damage reduction with the amount of armor that's stacked on this build. So basically, physical damage is mitigated to a pretty minimal level, and then on top of that, you're then obviously using the Sorcery Ward to take on board the elemental damage. You will basically be living on the edge of death 24/7, but you'll also essentially be immortal. So you might be asking, how do you do damage with this build? Well, according to his guide, which is actually a really good guide, you'll be doing damage by using a multiple, I think it's 4 different configurations of Caltrops. And so on bosses or through maps, you'll basically be dodge rolling around to drop Caltrops, and then synergizing in powers with bleeds and every other type of damage modifier to be able to get ridiculous damage from Caltrops. If anything, this build is one of the most interesting builds I've seen in a very long time. It's super creative and is just absolutely bizarrely insane to the best possible levels. So yeah, anyway, there'll be a link in the description to his video feel free to stop by his channel and check it out. Don't forget to like and sub to his channel as well. He's got a POB in there as well, which you can follow and have a look at how the build's configured. And he also uses, I believe it's Defiance Banner as well to synergize with the entire setup. And that also buffs you because Defiance Banner gives you a movement speed buff, which then synergizes with your Caltrop's use, which synergizes with dodge roll. But overall, it's a really, really cool and very different build. And yeah, excellent work to the build creator for coming up with this idea. Make sure you check it out and make sure you check out his channel. So for the third build we're going to feature here, this one's a bit of a test for tech scenario. So it actually uses Zealots Oath, and this one is from Off Meta Michael. So he's been doing some testing with different mechanics. And there's a bit of rework that needs to go into the offensive side, but the real value of this video is how the Zealot's Oath tech actually works and synergizes on the Titan. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know Zealot's Oath work, more or less how it functions is any excess life regeneration goes into your ES pool. Now, fortunately, Titan gets to take advantage of the hulking form node, where basically you get a huge amplification to all the non-attribute based nodes across the whole entire pathing tree, and so you can really abuse the fact where you can ES stack while keeping a very high life pool and a very high level of life regeneration, and more or less then you can face tank stuff without having to run setups, for example, like shields with max block and things like that. I think the idea here is really cool, and I think if we apply it to different mechanics and setups and or potentially spears and whatnot, we can actually take this and absolutely make a monster level build with this. So I really like the video going through. There's really good explanation about how it actually works. There's a good explanation about all the setups throughout the build as well. At this stage, there's no POB or mobilitics included in the build, but I'm sure that's something that Off Meta Michael will look at moving forwards, or if you post down in the comments below. But as an overall, it was a really well constructed build, and there's definitely a lot of learnings that are provided throughout the video. So he basically goes through a lot of intricate detail about the experience of leveling up the build, how it functions, how it works in relation to boss fights, how it goes in T16 maps and everything else in between. And it's a pretty good build. It is a slower build compared to the Zoom playstyle, but I really like tanks personally, so there's some really good mechanical stuff that even I'm probably going to take from this to apply to future builds that I want to run that just want to go and face tank stuff off into the distant future. But anyway, overall, make sure you check out Michael's channel. All the links will be in the description below for the build itself and also to Michael's channel. And yeah, this would be number 3 that I would feature on this list. For build number 4 that we're going to feature on this list is going to be from Dead Rabbit. You can check out his video link down below in the description, and make sure you drop by his channel and drop him a like, a sub, and check out the build in full. It's a fantastic build. So this one is the Cast on Crit Spark Blood Mage. Now, this one in particular, he retooled into a mapping build so that he could maximize currency return and ran high rarity with. It does take down endgame bosses using Lightning Bolt, which is incredibly powerful. Overall, for example, where the patch notes came in and destroyed Archmage, or Archmage, however you want to pronounce that, basically this is a way to get around it in totality, and Blood Mages are in. This is incredibly powerful, drops endgame bosses with absolute ease, and it can nuke maps in seconds, which is fantastic. Well, maybe not seconds, because nobody can do that anymore. But anyway, as an overall, this is a fantastic build. Now, it does rely on stacking a ton of crit chance and then maxing out as much crit damage as possible and crit capping where you can. And overall, it's just a really well done build. Now, he obviously has a lot of information in the actual guide itself, which will be in the description so that you can go and check the video out. It's a pretty well constructed guide, nice and simple to the point. Fantastic way to approach it. Actually, pretty much the same formula that I would use for a video if I was doing this type of build, which is great. And yeah, overall, just a very good build. I did enjoy seeing that Arc and things like, Spark are back into the game and being used, so it's pretty cool to see. The other big advantage with this setup too is potentially you could take any other spell setup and you could apply this configuration with some tweaks and adjustments and get a really good end result. So this is an example where you could take the underlying nuts and bolts of the actual build and apply it to many other different types of spells, and it will scale out relatively similarly, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy looking at these build configuration videos and or build guides, because you do learn a lot that you could apply to other builds, which is the purpose of this entire series. Anyway, make sure you check out his video link below and check out his channel, drop him a like and sub. And this is number 4 for this list. It is actually from a creator by the name of JMac, so make sure you go check out his video below, and don't forget to like and sub to his channel. Now, by far of all the builds I've featured on this list, this is my favorite one to both watch and one of the really coolest concepts I've seen in quite some time. It is Thunderous Leap Titan. Now, I'm a big fan of Thunder builds, mainly because in the past, in particular PoE 1, I was running like Doriani's Fist unarmed builds in the last league, but this one has some really cool tech behind it. So basically, in this build, you use Thunderous Leap, and you proc this to do increased damage with Voltaic Mark. And we're going to use the Spear Tangle Tongue to crank up crit to as much as possible, get some additional attack speed and all that sort of cool stuff that comes with that. This also uses the Deepest Tower. Obviously, that's one of my favorite items in the game of late, in particular just because of the raw damage that you can get from it. And then you synergize that with Sacred Flame and also Beacon of Aziz. And basically, this means critical hits ignore monster elemental resistances, which means everything is susceptible to maximum lightning damage around you. Now, aside from, there are some uniques in this build which will drive the price of the build up. Overall, the actual build itself is quite good. Now, it does have a lot of evasion rating, which is pretty cool. Gets to about 8k effective hit pool, which is not too bad considering this build doesn't use things like shields and stuff like that. Arguably, you probably could switch out the Sacred Flame, but this does give you a pretty big advantage to things like Spirit and also additional fire damage, so it is quite a good item in the build, and you would lose out by not running it. But as an overall, this is just one of those builds that are really, really cool to look at, does a ton of damage, and for the most is quite simple to get up and going. It does rely on crit capping, it does use Cast on Freeze to proc Voltaic Mark, and it does actually use Trinity, interestingly enough, to do increased damage. We use Herald of Thunder on this build, Wind Dancer to basically get your dexterity or your evasion level up, and it uses things like Purity Fire and things like that to max out your defenses to as much as possible, because remembering we are not running a shield, we are running an evasive Titan. Overall, this is a really, really cool build. I actually think if you stack Trample Toes on this, I think everything is better with Trample Toes these days, but if you did put Trample Toes on this, this would be even more insane if you managed to run a Herald of Ash configuration with something like this, and that's giving me an idea for a build I may do later down the track. Anyway, overall, make sure you check out his channel, like and sub to it, and yeah, really cool build overall, and yeah, this will be the last build I feature on this this video of the series, well, this video itself. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the list of builds that I featured in this one. Now, if you are a creator or a community member and you want to be featured in one of these lists, I'm going to make this a consistent series for Path of Exile 2, and obviously we've got the series for Path of Exile 1 that we do every league, which we'll be doing some league start testing and stuff like that for very shortly. Don't forget to drop me a DM on Discord, message in the comments below, even just at my channel or anything like that, and yeah, I'll have a look at your build and we'll try and see if we can fit it into the curation. If it's a really cool, interesting build, looks really good, I am definitely there and interested to see what people are putting together. The whole purpose of these videos is to share information and get people out there in front of everybody so that they can see some of the cool work that creators are doing and all the communities putting together, and also learn together and learn how to make some really cool tech. Anyway, if you are a creator that doesn't want to be featured on this video for any reason, please reach out to me and I'm happy to post edit and remove anything that you don't like. But otherwise, don't forget to get in contact with me if you want to be featured in the future. And also, don't forget to follow or go down and have a look at the creators below in the video links to their channels, and drop a sub and a like and whatnot. But until next time, don't forget to like and sub to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.